So to start off the update, we have a new billboard, and I'll leave it there for a while so people can see it. I just discovered this was written by Oscar Wilde. I always thought it had been written by Chrissy Hines.
And the big news, I guess, is that there's new rolling stock just coming into view. It is a scale Trainz carbon black hopper. It's the river counter version, which is kind of risky for me to be running on the track, but hey, that's what you buy rolling stock for, to run it. So here it is, the scale Trainz carbon black hopper. I got it in Columbia Chemicals livery, which I hoped would be a little more visible, but it's just got the reporting marks. I thought that would be a kind of an interesting joke to have Columbia Chemicals, but nobody's going to get it but me. I'm sure all of you have seen reviews of these beauties. They are, without doubt, spectacular, with just loaded with detail. I won't show you the underneath, which is where a lot of the detail is, but you can see the walkways and the high quality markings and that sort of stuff. The only issue is that it doesn't have trip pins, and this has been noted several times. I assume that Scale Trainz is doing this because it looks more scale. Let's face it, trip pins don't occur on real locomotives. However, in my layout, I need to use magnetic decouplers. I can't reach with a toothpick, and frankly, it hasn't been opening all that well with a toothpick anyway. So that means these are going to run for a while, and then when I actually get going at things, I'm going to have to put in KDs, something with a trip pin, something I can use my magnetic decoupler. So the big project for the last few months, which I'm showing on the workbench instead of on the layout, I'll show a photo on the layout later, is this cemetery module. Very early on, when I was looking for stuff for the train, my wife found this Woodland Scenic set of cemetery headstones, and she thought it would be a great idea to put on a cemetery, and so it's always been planned. It goes at the back. I will as I said, I'll show you a picture with it in place. And so I've been working on this module for now quite a long time. Between building up the underframe from my favorite foam core to giving it shape, creating these gates. I hope this is Bones Memorial Garden. Remember that the name of my fictional town is Spock, and then a number of pieces. This little scene. This is also Woodland Scenics. I picked that up much later. Thought it was perfectly appropriate, and I kit bashed this hearse. There's a separate video on that, and then I put together this little scene here with a couple who's parked in the cemetery. It looks like they're not really interested in in attending the funeral or in attending looking at the headstones. This is trying to find a place of some quiet, although the funeral appears to be a little noisy over here. So maybe they're not quite finding as much peace as, and perhaps this older couple here, enjoying the view or enjoying the quiet here at the back of the cemetery. So this module goes at the back. It's going to be part of a park. This gate here connects a footpath here that will go down to a park. Because I always like to show the materials I'm working with, most of this module is covered with this grass mat. It's really works very well. I bought it on one of my European European trips, but I believe it's an American product, and it works. It's worked very well. The base of this is either the foam core or styrene, and it glued down very nicely, and it formed itself into hills, as you can see here, based on just propping stuff up underneath. And then these paths are very easily cut with a brush and some water. You just brush some water where you want the path to be, and then scrape away at it, and the material comes up. And then you can put down, as I put in here, kind of a sandy material. And so I'm very pleased. In fact, then the leftover, the ground up stuff, was then sprinkled on after spraying with hairspray to provide some texture to the grass back there. Yeah, I know, they're not supposed to be cabooses in this era, but yeah, I needed to clean the track. Okay, so the module is complete. This is the big edition. It takes up, well, all of the different pieces of it take up most of the back of the layout. There'll be still some work to be done on this piece. There's going to be a camping scene, and I'm hoping then there's supposed to be some kids playing with kites, but that stuff's on order. But all in all, it looks really good as far as I'm concerned. That road coming up into the area, and then the cemetery itself looks great. I'm very pleased.
La serie final del 2004, claro, Boston le ganó fue a San Luis en el 2004, por la vida, y luego en el 2007 a los Rockies. Sí, el largo camino que lleva a las grandes ligas y solamente se necesita el primero. No sabemos si luce como que si jamás en su vida hubiese tocado la pelota. Y eso es lo que ha hecho básicamente la mayor parte de su carrera, porque Austin Jackson era un center field.
Now, before I leave, I want to do a shout out to another YouTube channel. And this one's a little unusual, I would think, for most railroad modelers. It's called Approach Medium. And I'm going to put the reference in the description below. An Approach Medium is a guy who works with Trainz with a Z, which is a program, a simulation for railroad simulation. And he builds these marvelous, I'll say quotes, full-scale layouts using this simulation software. And of course, the skill to build, he doesn't build buildings, he downloads them or buys them. He doesn't make scenery, he uses copy-paste. So the actual execution is, obviously nothing that has anything to do with being on the, doing a model railroad. But his thinking, the way that he puts the scenes together, the way that he decides what he's going to put in what place and how he's going to do it, I find very interesting, very something that informs the way I try to think about things. And he has a very interesting approach in the sense that he talks a lot about memory. He talks a lot about his memories as a child, about his memories rail fanning, and how that informs the decisions he makes about what kinds of scenes he puts into his quote-unquote layout. And I think that's it's worth checking out. It's worth experiencing. Like I said, the actual construction of the scenes, or the constructions of the whole layout, to use that word, nothing to do with what we're trying to do here, but the thinking behind the strategies, the thinking behind what he's trying to do, and particularly, like I said, this use of memory and some of his this aesthetic decisions about what goes with what and why he puts something there and why he breaks with the prototype to make something that looks better. All that, I think, is stuff we can learn from.
So that's about all we got for this update. Like, share, subscribe, and of course, live long and prosper.